Hamlet in Modern English Act 1, Scene 1. Bernardo climbed the stairs to the castle's armpits. It was a bitterly cold night. He made his way carefully through the freezing fog to relieve Francisco of his guard duty. He saw a dim figure and challenged him. "Who's there?" "No, you answer me." It was Francisco's voice. "Stop and identify yourself." Bernardo stopped. "Long live the king." "Bernardo?" "Yes, it's me." Francisco relaxed. "You are right on time. It's just gone midnight," said Bernardo. "Get off." "Too bad, Francisco." "Thank God." Francisco prepared to leave. "It's freezing and I'm dead bored." "Has it been quiet?" "Not even a mouse stirring." "Well, good night then." Bernardo stopped him. "If you see the guard master of Enriquez, the prince's friend, tell them to hurry." Francisco set off. He took a few steps, then turned and called to Bernardo. "I think I can hear them now." He went to meet them. "Stop! Who's there?" "Friends," said Horatio. "And loyal subjects of the king," said Marcellus. "Well, good night to you, friends," said Francisco. "And to you, harness soldier," said Marcellus. "Who's left you?" "Bernardo." Once again, good night." "Oh, Bernardo," called Marcellus. "Tell me, is Horatio with you?" said Bernardo. "What's left of me coming out in the cold night," said Horatio. Bernardo wait for them. "Welcome, Horatio." "Welcome, good Marcellus." "Well," said Marcellus, "has that thing appeared again tonight?" "I haven't seen anything." Horatio says it's all in our imagination and doesn't believe we've been it twice, said Marcellus, "even though we have so I've about him with me on the night watch. If this ghost comes again, he'll see it with his own eyes." Too nonsense. It won't appear," said Horatio. "Just sit down and let us tell you the story that you won't believe. Tell you what we've seen 2 nights in a row." Horatio laughed and dismissed them with a wave of his hand. "Well, let's sit down anyway, and listen to Bernardo." "Last night," began Bernardo, "when the stars that's to the west of the North Pole had crossed the sky to where it is now, Marcellus and I were sitting here when the bell struck 1. "Quiet," said Marcellus. "Stop, here it is again." The 3 men watched as a figure walked slowly through the fog. "The same thing that looks like the late king," Bernardo whispered. "Yours cooler, Horatio," said Marcellus. "Speak to it." "Look, Horatio," exclaimed Bernardo. "Doesn't it look like the king?" Horatio shivered. "Too much like him. It fills me with fear and wonder." It wants you to speak it up to it," said Bernardo. "Question it, Horatio," said Marcellus. "Who are you and why do you disturb our watch? There's in the honor of the dead king of Denmark," Horatio demanded. "In the name of God, speak." The ghost turned and glided away. "It's offended. Look how it stayed anyway." "Stop, speak, I command you to speak." The ghost disappeared into the fog. Now it's gone and won't answer," said Marcus. Bernardo took What's the matter, Hertio? You tremble and you're pale. Isn't this something more than fantasy? What do you think now? Before God, I wouldn't have believed this is I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, exclaimed Hertio. Isn't it just like the king, as much as you look like yourself? Said Hertio. That was the first suit of armor he wore when he frustrated the ambitions of the Norwegian king. I remember that frown, the same as on the day he trumped the police force as they crossed the ice on the slate. It's strange. He disturbed our watch twice before at this very hour with that military bearing. I don't know what to think about it, said Hertio, but my overall opinion is that it bodes ill for matters of state. All right then, said Marcus, sit down again and tell me whoever can why we have to do this guard duty every night, and why they are making more and more cannons every day, and why there is such a brisk market in weapons, and why shipwrights have to labor on Sunday. What's going on that everyone's working so hard night and day? Who can tell me? I can, said Hertio. At least I can tell you the rumors our late king, whose ghost we've just seen, was challenged to a duel by Fortibres, the king of Norway, who was driven by an envious pride. Our valiant king Hamlet, as this part of our known world knew him, killed the Fortibres, who by the legal term of the duel forfeited all his lands to his conqueror, along with his life. Our king had lodged a similar agreement with Danish authorities going to Norway if Fortibres had won. No, sir, the young Fortibres has grown up, and although he's a novice in war, he's spoiling for a fight and has assumed of a gang of lawless troublemaker from the backwards of Norway. For little more than their daily food, they will try and recover the lands lost in that duel. From what I can gather, this is the main reason for the watch and the frantic preparation for way. That makes sense, said Bernardo, and it may be this Spartans figure that comes armed through our watch, looking so much like the dead king, is the focus of these wars. It certainly stirs the imagination, said Hertio. At the height of Romeo's might, just before the might Julius Caesar was assassinated, a grave opened, and the dead walked the streets, mattering and walling. Stars of flaming fire come as disaster from the sun, and the moon, which influenced Neptune's watery empire, was eclipsed. Similar, slightly like warnings from heaven or prologues of an ill omen about to happen, have been witnessed here by our own countrymen. He saw the ghost coming slowly toward them. But look, Hale said, the ghost comes again. I'll approach them, even though I might sweep me aside. The ghost walked past them without altering its place. Hertio followed. Stop, illusion, he commanded. If you can make any sound of or have a voice to speak to me. If there's any good thing that has to be done that will give you peace and bring me grace, speak to me. If you have any foreknowledge or you of your country's fate, which perhaps prior knowledge of may avoid or speak, or if you have for that stolen treasure during your life, for which reason they say you spirits walk after death, tell me about it. A cock crowed somewhere, the ghost continued walking. Stop it, Marculus! Horatio tried to guess it, but his hand went right through it. Shall I hit it with my spear? Said Marculus. Do so if it won't stop, said Horatio. It's here, said Bardio, pointing. No, it's here, said Horatio. It's gone, said Marculus. We wrongly it being so majestical by treating it with violence. It's invulnerable like the air. Our antics were mockery. It was about to speak when the cock crew, said Bernardo. And then it started like a guilty thing hearing a fearful summons, said Horatio. I have heard it said that the cock, the temperate of the morning, wakes the good of day, and at the warning whether it's in the sea or in fire, on the earth or in the air, the wandering and erring spirits retreat to their prison. What we've seen this morning is proof of the story. It faded on the crowing of the cock, a great Marculus. Some say that at Christmas time the bird of dawn actually sing it all night, and they say no spirits there's roam. The nights are wholesome, the planets are stable, neither fairy nor witch has any power so holy and gracious at this time. I've heard that too, said Horatio, and I partly believe it, but look, the morning dressed on its reset mentally, it's coming over the dew of that high eastern hill. Let's break the watch up. My advice is that we tell young Hamlet of what we've seen tonight. I'll bet my life that the spirit dumb to us will speak to him. Do you agree we should tell him out of our friendship of duty to him? Let's do that, said Marculus. I know where we'll find them. Hamlet in Modern English, Act 1, Scene 2. The Lord Chamberlain walked busily among the courtiers assembled in the main hall, fussing about the arrangement, making sure about that everyone was in his or her place. He had summoned two lords, Fultiman and Cornelius, because the king wished to send them on an important mission. His son, Letters, was there too. There had been some tension between them because Letters wanted to return to Paris. He had come to Elsinore for the funeral of the King Hamlet, but he was missing his life he had made for himself in Paris. The Lord Chamberlain disapproved of his son's Parisian lifestyle and was considering opposing his departure, which required King Claudius' permission. The great doors opened. The trumpeters raised their instruments and played a fanfare. The king and the queen swept in, followed by the queen's son, Prince Hamlet. The royal couple were splendidly dressing in color robes of state. Hamlet wore a black suit. The king and queen mounted the stairs and sat down on their chair of the state. Hamlet joined the countess as they stood facing them and stared at his uncle. Claudius stood to address the assembly. Although the memory of our dear brother Hamlet that is still green has begun, and although we have mourned him in company with all our subjects, we should now find a balance. We shall temper our public sorrow and remember him perfectly as we return to the consideration of our normal affairs. Therefore, our former sister, now our queen, our imperial partner in the conduct of his worldly nation, we have, as it were, with mixed emotional merit. It was something of a low-key wedding, with some happiness in the face of a funeral, and pain on the occasion of marriage, in equal measure waning, lining, and solemnity. Nor have we declined to take your advice, which fully supported this marriage. He bowed graciously, embracing the company with a warm smile. For all that our thank, he became businesslike. Now, you know the 40 brains, the young Norwegian prince, understanding us, think that because of our late their brother's death, our state is in disarray. That together with what he imagines to be his military superiority, inspires him to posture us with he demand that we surrender those lands, thus that his father lost equality legally to our most brave brother. He snapped his finger. So much for him. Now, as for ourselves and the reason for this meeting, this is what is business like this. We have written to the King of Norway, the uncle of young Fortibrands. He is weak and forbidden and doesn't know what his nephew is up to, so he's unable to check him. He doesn't know what that his nephew is using his resources to build up his own army. Therefore we are spending to you, good Cornelius, and you Voltimand, to take this letter to old Norway, giving you no further personal power to do business with the king other than the instruction set out in detail here. Farewell, and let your haste show your sense in duty. The ambassador went forward and took the letter. They bowed and assumed the king that they would show their duty in his thing. Claudius nodded graciously. We don't doubt it. We all our hearts farewell. When they had gone, the king bowed to letters, smiling to put him at his ease. And now, letters, what's the news with you? He said. You told us of Samsit. What is it? Letters cleared his throat, and Claudius smiled more broadly. If you want to speak reason to the dawn, you mustn't lose your voice. When could you ask less letters that I wouldn't give you? The head and the heart, the hand and the mouth don't work more closely together than the throne of Denmark and your fathers do. What would you like, Laertes? Laertes found his voice. My dream, Lord, he said, I want your permission on and blessing to return to France, from where so willingly I came to Denmark to show my duty in your coronation. But now I must confess that duty done, my throat and which bent toward France again, so I hope that you will forgive me and grant me your permission. Do you have your father's permission? Said Claudius. He turned to his lord trembling. What does Polonius say? Polonius looked unhappy. He wrung his hand. My lord, he has dragged my religion permission out of me by innocent pleading and nagging. Finally, I've agreed. I beg you, give him permission to go. The king looked down kindly and Laertes, whenever you please, Laertes, he said. Take your time and spend it as you like. Hamlet had not taken his eyes off the king all this time, and Claudius now turned to look at him. And now, my cousin Hamlet and my son has begun. Hamlet's staring expression did not change. The man before him was a bit more than a cousin now, but his feelings toward him as a son were less than kind. What is that the Claudius are still hanging over you? His uncle said. That's not true, my lord, said Hamlet. I am too much in the sun. There was a fair, too much of being a son for his liking. His mother get up and joined her husband. God Hamlet, she said, take that back suit off and be more friendly to the king. Don't spend the rest of your life with your eyes lowered, looking for a noble father and the ground. You know it's natural that everyone must die, passing from life to eternity. Yes, madam, it's natural, he said. If you agree then why does it seem so personal to you? Hamlet looked up at her and opened his eyes wide. Seems, madam. No, it is. I don't know, Sims. It isn't just my inky cloak, nor mowing shirts or black, nor Lord no, nor the streaming eyes, nor the dejected face, together with displays of moodiness and other form of grief that can sum me up. These other signs do indeed seem because they are things that a man might act out. But I have feelings within me that can be expressed by actors. These are no more than the trapping and the clothes of grief. The queen was about to speak, but Claudius stopped her with an hand on her arms. It's sweet and commendable of you, Hamlet, he said, to give the mourning duties to your father. But surely you must realize that your father losing his father, and that lost father lost his, and each time the son was obliged to mourn for a period of time, but the persist in obstinate mourning is a pet of his stubbornness. It's an unmanly grief. It shows a small ungodly selfishness and lack of courage in impatient mind, a lack of intelligence and lack of education, because if we know that something must happen and that it's common us, the most ordinary thing imaginable. Why should we childishly oppose and it and take it so much to hurt? Come on, it's an offense against heavens, an offense against the death, against nature, and against a reason. It's absurd. The death of father is a common thing. Who has wept from the first sight of a corpse till the day he died? This had to happen. We begged of you bury this useless grief and think of us of us as your father. Not for let the world understand you are the heir to the throne, and I regard you with the same love, and as the dear father does his son. As for your intention of going back to the university at Wittenberg, it's not what we want, and we begged you to think about staying here where you can be with us, our main courtier, caution, and our son. Answer, your mother prays, Hamlet, said his mother. I pray you, stay with us, and don't go to Wittenberg. I'll obey you with all my heart, madam. Claudius was all smiles again. Why, that's a loving and fair reply, he said. I hope you will be comfortable here in Denmark. He offered his hand to his wife. Madam, come. The gracious and voluntary agreement from Hamlet has warmed my heart to celebrate that every happy toast that the King of Denmark drinks today will respond to the clothes. And the king will make the heaven all sweat again with his earthly thunder. Come, let's go. The courtiers followed them through the great doorway. Hamlet was left alone. He said the floor would he wished that his body would just melt, turn to water, and become like the dew, or that the Almighty hadn't made a law forbidden suicide. Oh God, how very stale, flat, and useless everything about life seemed, he mourned. It was terrible. The whole world was like an unweeded garden that had gone to seed only ugly, disgusting things thrift. He couldn't believe what had happened. Only 2 months dead. No, not even 2. Such an excellent king he had been. Compared with this one, it was like Hyperion, the sun god, compared to Lycaeus' stare. He'd been so loving to his mother that he wouldn't even allow the gentle breeze of heaven to blow too roughly on her face. He lifted his hand and blocked his ears as through to shut his father's memory out. She had loved him so much, adores him, and as thought the more she had of him, the more she wanted him. And yet, within a month, he couldn't bear to think about it. Women were so inconsistent. Only a month. Even before that, shoes with which she had followed his father's body were all flowing with tears. She, oh God, even an animal that doesn't have reason, wouldn't have mourned longer. She married his uncle, his father's brother, but no more like his father than he was like Hercules. Even before that, the salt of those critical tears had left her swollen eyes. She married almost with speed to hurry to so enthusiastically to incestuous sheets. It couldn't end happily, but he would just have to break his heart because he had to hold his tongue. He heard some movement at the fair and of the hall. He looked up. 3 men were coming towards him. One of them called, "Greetings to your lordship. I'm glad to see you well," said Hamlet. "Horatio, if I'm not mistaken." "The same," said Horatio, "and ever you humble servant." Hamlet shook his hand. "Sir, my God friend, I'll exchange that appellation with you. And what are you doing away from Wittenberg, Horatio? Is that Michaelis?" Michaelis bowed. "My good lord." Bernardo who had accompanied them both. "I am very glad to see you," said Hamlet. "Good evening, sir. But why have you left Wittenberg, Horatio?" "A transient disappointment, my good lord." Hamlet laughed. "I wouldn't let you enemy say that, nor will I allow you to do my ears such violence as to lie about yourself. I know you're not truant. But what are you doing at Elsinore?" "Well, teach you to drink deep before you leave." "My lord, I came to you father's funeral. Please don't mock me, my fellow students. I think it was to my mother's wedding." "Yes," said Horatio, "it did follow closely." "It was a matter of a company." Horatio threw the food that was choked for the funeral come out on to the marriage table as cold meat. "I would rather have met my worst enemy in heaven than ever just seen that day." Horatio Hamlet thrust his head into his hands. "My father's, I think I see my father." The other three exchanged glances. "Where, my lord?" said Horatio. "In my mind's eye, Horatio. I saw him once," said Horatio. "He was a great king. He was a real man," said Hamlet. "Everything considered, I won't see his like again." "My lord, I think I saw him last night." "Saw who?" "My lord, the king, your father." "The king, my father." Temper your amazement for a moment with an attentive ear, and I'll explain this marvel to you, which these gentlemen have witnessed. For the love of God, tell me, 2 nights in a row these gentlemen Marcus and Bernardo were encountered while on their watch in the middle of the night. A figure, the image of your father, fully armed from head to toe, appears before them, and with a solemn military gait, walks slow and stately past them. He walked past their terrified and astonished eyes 3 times, only a transient length away, while they reduced the almost to jelly with fear. They stand dumb and don't speak to him. They confided this to me, and in dreadful secrecy. And on the 3rd night I went to keep the watch with them. Then, just as they had reported, at the same time and in the same form, the ghost comes. I knew what your father was like. It was him. But where was this? My lord, on the platform where we watched. Didn't you speak to it? My lord, I did, but it didn't answer. And yet I thought that it lifted up its head at the one point and looked us through. It was going to say something, but just then the cock crowed loudly, and at the sound of that it swung away hesitantly and disappeared. It's very strange, said Hamlet. He looked doubtful. It's true, my lord. I swear on my life, and we threw it our duty to tell you. Of course. But this worries me. Are you on watch tonight? We are. In a more, you say? In a more, my lord, said Marcellus. From top to two? My lord, from head to toe, said Bernardo. Then you didn't see his face. Oh yes, my lord, he wore his visor up, said Horatio. What was he frowning? A face more in sorrow than in anger, said Horatio. Pale or florid, said Hamlet. No, very pale. And did he fix his eyes on you? Most definitely. I wish I had been there. It would have made you. I'm sure, said Hamlet. Did it stay long as it will take to count up to 100 at a moderate place? Longer, said Marcellus. No, when I saw it, said Horatio, his beard was grizzled. No, said Hamlet. It was as I have seen it during his life, stark with grey. I'll come to the watch tonight, said Hamlet. Maybe it will walk again. I'm sure it will, said Horatio. If it takes the shape of my noble father, I'll speak to it, even if hell should open and silence me. I ask you all, if you have kept this a secret till now, continue to do that, and whatever else may happen tonight, listen, but don't say anything, and I'll reward you. So goodbye then. I'll visit you on the platform between 11 and 12. They left him, and he began to place his father Gus' arm. There was something wrong. He suspected some foul play. He wished that night would come. Petition, calm down. Foul deeds must rise to the surface in spite of everything.